Yes, yes. Da er vi live igjen. Jeg er jo Sigurd Mikkelsen, jeg er manuellterapeut, og jeg er her nede i nydelige Glasgow og i dette fantastiske miljøet som IFOMPT har skapt. Det er jo veldig mange ideer og tanker ute og går, og meningen da med Facebook Live er jo å prøve å få tak i dette i det øyeblikket en kjenner liksom det brenner som mest. Så det er en fin anledning å ta tak i folk da når de er engasjerte, så det er litt av det vi prøver å fange her. Nå har jeg fått tak i Roger Kerry, Professor Roger Kerry, og det jeg skal vi har noen få spørsmål til han her. Det er 4 ting. En ting er litt hvorfor smerte har noe å gjøre som fenomen, hvordan vi kan forstå det. Hva er evidensbasert praksis? Hva har evidenspraksis gjort for smerte? Og ikke minst dette med Core Self-prosjektet. Hvorfor, om det er et alternativ, er det noe annerledes, hvilke tanker er bak det? Og noen, kanskje som får tid til det, noen små filosofiske begrep helt på slutten om kausalitet. Litt sånn tunge ting, men vi prøver å pakke det fint sammen. So, sorry, just wanted to lay out the frame or the context for our talk, guys. Thank you so much for going on live with us. Yeah.
That's good, it's a pleasure.
Yeah. So, well, the first thing we have in common, we're kind of, or I'm kind of a musician. You are a living musician. And I've listened to you see the D.H. Lawrence and the Skiffle Band show. Yeah. And I noticed something which I thought was a bit fun. You have a song called Black Rain, and where there's the chorus that goes, "You can't feel my pain. It's like black rain." And it's like, Roger, is there an idea behind that song, or was it by coincidence?
No, it's not coincidence. It was written by Alan Taylor, and you know we're both physiotherapists, and what's really interesting is the climate at the moment and the discussion about pain and the controversies about pain, and it's this, it's that, it's the other, and the diversion in the profession, etc., etc. So we've been talking about that for years and observing that. And then Alan being Alan thought, well, I'll write a song about this. So, you know, and it's the point of entry into that song is, as you say, it's that distance we seem to have with our patients when understanding something as complex as pain. We think we're having all these discussions, very intellectual and this great science. It seems a million miles away from the people who
because you can't feel my pain. And then it's like black rain. And then you go, well, it's not black rain, there's no such thing as black rain. And maybe, is that also a play with words? Because it's kind of an abstract phenomenon. Rain, water is not good to be in the rain, it's black. Is that...
you know, without getting tied up in the old metaphor analogy discussions, it's not possible to remove ourselves completely from that, because it is a metaphor, you know, but that description of something that doesn't register on what we do. The song starts with a provocative poke at numerical rating scales, and that's how we want to measure something like that, and we accept it's subjective, we accept it's complex, but at the same time we're accepting it, we're also ignoring it all. And these descriptions of the phenomena that is really hard to reach, black rain.
Yeah, because pain is unsolved on the world, or as a human race, it's one of those things that just exists. I think maybe there's someone expecting that we can someday cure pain. What do you think about the possibility of this? What does that expectation lead to.
We often think, or at least I often think, whether we're on the right scientific trajectory, because that's where it's going. You know, to understand it more, so we can work out what it's about, so we can cure it.
That's the reasoning I think we have, because that's the evidence-based practice. There's been there is an ongoing discussion about you had this paper at the Borders of Medical Reasoning, and has evidence-based practice taken us as far as it can in pain? Maybe we need to think differently. What are the limitations of an RCT?
Well, you know, one of the points of that paper was exactly what you said. We got so far, and we got to this point where we're having these discussions, and I don't know if that point is real or it's constructed by us again as a profession, but it seems to be.
Yeah,
we're getting better at science, and everybody's you know, doing better trials and doing more controlled stuff. And with regards to pain, at the same time as all that stuff, and the really good mechanistic stuff as well, and the imaging and the qualitative stuff, it's all good stuff and it's all leading us somewhere. But you step back and see, hold on, what is the impact of this? What is happening to society?
Yeah.
Pain seems to be it's still about the same. Now, one point we was trying to make was, so there's like a decision point now. We can either continue with this science and improving what we're doing, keep battering away at that thing. Well, we don't quite understand, but we'll do another trial. Don't sound serious, so we'll do this.
As long as if the trial is good enough, then we'll solve it. We'll find the holy grail. Yeah.
So the current methods just need to continue to be done a little bit better each time we get there. The other way to go with the decision is to step back and say, well, wait a minute. Two things: are the questions we're asking the right ones, and are the methods we're using the right ones? So it's given us an opportunity to reflect on what we're doing. Now, this isn't at all about being dismissive of the scientific method. It is in fact just the opposite of that.
Because that's what I think many maybe hear that when people start to ask questions about the evidence-based practice and RCTs, and I've seen these arguments being laid out that, well, we have to be scientific.
But our scientific methods have got us so far, and they're doing so much. But all the way through history, the scientific method has adapted, has changed, has moved. The way we investigated things 200 years ago is different to what we're doing now. We've got to keep asking questions about the methods we're using in order to move on. And you're right, one of the problems that I commonly come across is because we write this stuff and people
don't touch people and
you're anti-science, you're anti-evidence. It is exactly the opposite of that. This is a philosophy of science. It's working out the best ways to do science and searching for the best evidence for what we're doing. Which goes back to the first problem: what questions are we asking? If we're asking to cure this, I don't know, what if we reframed pain as something else? I don't know what, but just we've got some ideas about what it could be reframed at. Will that redirect us on our scientific inquiries with maybe different, better methods?
So when I read that paper with great interest when it came out, and I asked you pretty quickly on Facebook, of course. Well, Prof, what now? And where will this lead us and stuff? And I still remember your answer, and you said, well, maybe it'll help us to explore these issues better. And it's like a philosopher that just was a pragmatic philosopher. But so let's say now that maybe we can think differently about exploring pain as a phenomenon on the premise that we're not doing particularly well, and that's why maybe it's time to try something else. Then this cause health emerges. So can you just do it, because this is what is cause health? I think people are wondering what cause health is.
All right, I'll try and explain this as absolutely simply as possible. So, Cause Health practically is a research project. It's a philosophy research project. and it's investigating the nature of causation in health science. So what does that mean? The way our scientific methods operate at the moment allow us to see precisely what we mean by causation. So the clearest example is, you know, if you think about levels of evidence and hierarchies of evidence, some stuff is done down at the bottom, and we don't make causal claims from that, because we say, you know, case studies, yeah, very interesting, but you're not going to infer causation from them. Observational studies, bit better. Well, this is the thing.
Sometimes,
this is the thing.
yeah,
exactly, exactly. But you know, to take the evidence-based model literally, you know, the rules of the evidence-based model, we then go up and look at randomised controlled trials, and then start to have more confidence. Now, in causal claims, so they say, well, causation occurs up here, doesn't come there. So your point is exactly that's what we're at. We're going, well, wait a minute, there's stuff there. But if you take the rules of EBMs literally, and really the only way you can take them is literally, otherwise what's the point of having them? So policies, commissioning is driven by those rules. So by that definition of causation, and then we're not going to go into the philosophy of it now, but there are philosophy who do that. We're interested in another definition of causation within evidence health.
But could you just shortly then, and maybe it's an ignorant question, but because what we do, I think, people come to us with their pains, and they ask us, what causes my pain?
Sure.
And that's our level, probably clinical level of causation. And sometimes we've attributed this stuff to, well, all the structures, and as initiators maybe that's okay, but a lot of times we can't really, or the evidence can't tell us what causes a long-standing, persistent pain, kind of.
Yes.
So how is this view of causation? I'm talking myself away here, which is easily for when talking to a philosopher.
No, you're absolutely right. It's an extremely valuable and critical question. And again, the narrative of causation within what you've just said is framing causation as something. You know, patients want to know, we want to know, what caused this, what will cause me to get better.
Yes,
that's it. Then we appeal to you know, so if we wanted to know what caused...
Sorry, because we throw our cities at them. Well,
exactly.
Yeah, and we can't do that.
Yeah, well, but we do it. So we say things like, well, we don't know what causes your pain, because actually if you look at the epidemiology, there's no clear answer to what causes it, and that confuses then the situation. Because, well, you know what do you mean you think causes it, and that fuels that other level of thing. And then we say, well, what will get it better? And we go, well, let's look at the trials, and you know, exercise is good for low back pain. What does that mean to that patient? So we're interested in a different notion of causation, which would change that narrative and that discourse, and would think of causation as something not from the outside, not from the, you know, this isn't being dismissive of population data, because we would use that somewhere in that reasoning, but the real causal substance, the real things that are causing the patient to behave in such a way and feel such things are parts of that human being. They're dispositions of a human being which are working together or against each other to manifest in a certain way. And that may or may not relate to some findings from population studies. So, you know, one thing I like to say, and then we're doing a talk this afternoon, I'll probably say it, is I wonder if we've been looking down the telescope the wrong way for some years. So we've been looking at patients from the population downwards and talking about the causal story there. I wonder if, you know, the whole causal health problem is about flipping that telescope, because, well, no, you know, the causal story starts with the patient. You know, this isn't rocket science, because it's what we do. Well, it isn't rocket surgery, as Lorimer would say. This is what we do all day with patients. This is validating and finding a way to see if we can legitimise in some scientific way what we do, rather than saying, you know, that's just clinical judgment and clinical experience, and those things are, you know, they're open to bias and this, that and the other. Well, actually, you know, maybe they're not. Maybe that is an important part of the scientific story of causation.
So how do Cause Health go about to start to explore this when you got the research grant, which is huge? Congratulations on that. Because you had a few workshops, you were exploring different ideas from different fields. Why would you do that?
Yeah, so this is led by two very clever people. First of all, that's one thing you start to do. Ronnie Andrew and Stephen Mumford. Well, Ron is the project leader, who's in Norway.
Yay!
Yeah, big shout out to Norway and Ronnie. How do you do that? Through discourse and thinking and applying ideas and see how it pans out in different subject fields. So the project before this, Causation in Science, was looking at physics and biology. Cause Health is looking specifically at
Cause Science, I've seen that.
Yeah. So Cause Science. So, and actually, health science is almost a better discipline to explore these philosophical ideas in, because physics is complex, of course it is, and context sensitive. But real world wise, what we do wise, health science is extraordinarily complex and unpredictable.
Why is it so?
Because
there seems to be so many answers out there.
Yeah, well,
I think it's difficult, and you say it's complex. A lot of other people don't feel that at all. So.
No, sure. I mean, if you don't want to feel that, that's absolutely fine. You can take simpler views of the world. We're purposely framing the world as complex, and there's certain definitions for that. But just shop floor wise, complexity is each person is different. There's so many factors to their existence. They've had life experiences that this person has. Blah blah blah. So each person is complex. You put all those different complex people together, it's even more complex. And what we do, what happens to a patient or a person, if I'm going to stop saying patient now. I'm going to start saying person, because there's a critical reason for this.
Because I've seen something on your back.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah. Oh, what is this?
So we're centering the philosophy and centering the idea of causes around the individual.
So what does number n equals 1?
So a misinterpretation about this, because an n equals 1 study is a particular research now, but we're not necessarily meaning that. We're just talking about the individual. The one individual is the important thing at that moment in time, at that place, and we can position that person in the population for sure and read something from the emergent features of population studies, but even so, the individual has got different information often to offer that's individual and context sensitive to that person. I mean, we can go back now to talk about pain if you want, as an emergent phenomenon, for example,
which is no one can't feel my pain. It's just my n equals 1 experience.
Yeah.
That's the other end of the periscope, as you said.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So what do you think about a lot of excellent clinicians feeling bullied by evidence, do you think are you particularly, are you having different perspectives on this from probably premature question from a healthcare's point of view and a patient's or a person's point of view? What the experiences on either end, or do you see the experiences from the healthcare society or the therapist being bullied by evidence,
right,
and then the poor lost soul person? You're exploring the person here, but do you have any thoughts about the therapist being bullied about
I see what you mean. How does that then affect the therapeutic alliance or something like that? I mean, one leap into the Cause Health project would be, the person is a source of evidence themselves, a legitimate, valid source of some sort of evidence. Again, evidence of what is the thing that most. Again, the clear example is to talk about evidence of therapeutic effectiveness. So if we're saying, where's the evidence for therapeutic effectiveness, and somebody's being bullied over here, if that's how they feel, by the trials which hold the evidence for therapeutic effectiveness, and then there's a disjoint between what they're being pushed towards here and what the patient's coming here. That's a product of the framework, the product of the system, and a product of us as well. Not being, nowhere within medicine, and particularly nowhere in physiotherapy, is it written down what we want out of a framework called evidence-based medicine. We essentially borrowed it from medicine. We do that, but medicine are having these discussions as well. The Cause Outs project ties in with parallel things happening in medicine. Where is the evidence of therapeutic effectiveness? Where does it start? Is it held up here, high up in the hierarchy, or is some of it at least down here?
It's very thought-provoking, and I think actually it's really refreshing that we try to walk on to the other side of the phenomenon, just for the hell of it, and to see what have been standing, have been looking at this from the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I had another question for you, because from my limited understanding of the backgrounds there, the dispositionals, I have to throw myself in the dispositionalism. Dispositional attribution. Ron is probably going to have a good laugh. Well, okay. So a part of looking differently at evidence and what evidence is, where it's from, and to start with the patient is a good thing. So a premise for that point of view is dispositional attribution.
Yeah.
Could you say something about what dispositionalism is in this context of patient, and how a dispositionalistic view can be a better way in, maybe, possibly, than the RCT?
Okay. That's good. So it's always nice to use a clear, inert example and then come back to a patient. So the one we classically use, which I've used before, and Stephen and Ron use it in their books and in their talks, is if you think of a glass, a wine glass, and it gets pushed off the table and smashes on the floor. There's a couple of versions of that story. One, we could say the cause of the glass smashing was that it was pushed. So the external event that pushed it. So the cause of the smash was the push. What dispositionalism would say is the causal factors are within the glass. So the glass has a disposition of fragility, and it had to, that disposition had to meet with another disposition, an external one in this case, which was the push. And those things combined,
plus the floor,
plus the surface it landed on. So there's a number of dispositions. The height it went, the other features of the glass, what type of glass. So there's this. So then we don't just say pushing causes glasses to smash. There's much more to the story, and that further information to the story is held within the object itself. So back to the patient.
Because could you just to clarify if I understand it. So let's say we put different dispositions into the glass. Let's say it's not glass, it's a plastic cup.
Yeah.
Then we would have the same events at play, and you would have an external event, and the disposition of the glass is different. It's not fragile glass anymore, it's plastic, and because it holds an intrinsic different disposition, then when it meets the floor, maybe it won't crack.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's two. So the external things are the same, but the internal things are different. So the dispositions of the glass are different.
So how can we turn?
So we could say. So come back to practice. So we could say something like, right, a systematic review of good quality randomised controlled trial says exercise is effective for low back pain. Exercise is now that external thing, the push. Okay. But people have different dispositions. So the external thing, the push, the exercise, will only manifest in an effect if there's a certain set of dispositions in that person. So the push will only break the glass if there's a disposition of fragility. Now, what if two people have got different human disposition? And when we talk about disposition, I mean, that can be anything. It can be life experience, your fear of exercise.
We're not only talking about genes there. It's in your genes.
Yeah. I mean, the whole gene thing is another. It's part of the story, but it's another thing. You know, we are. One of Ronnie's slogans is "I am more than my omics." So, genomes, the genome project is great, but a human is more than that.
Yeah.
You know, the human is more than genes. They're more than their biology. They're more than their psyche.
Your life.
You're online again.
Yep.
Okay, good. So what we're trying to lay out is the dispositional attribution to whatever, and with exemplified by a glass, which could be of fragile glass, but if it has a different disposition, it's made up of different things, holds different dispositions of being a plastic, then it wouldn't break, even if the same event were involved. So what we were trying to do now before break was to bring that analogy over to a person with low back pain, for example. And you're talking about exercise could be.
There's an intuitive response here from if we were supporting the epidemiology view of this, the comparative study of this, because you would say, well, that's fine, because all what you're doing now. So say if the original question was objects that hold fluid, when pushed, break, and then you do this study with objects that hold fluid, then you find out that some of them are glass with a disposition of fragility, some are not. Then you would say, well, that's fine, that's just a subgroup. So we know this subgroup is responding this way, and this subgroup is responding that way. And the same with patients, which is fine. Now, if you continue that logic to its natural end, if the world truly is complex and context sensitive, then there will be causally different factors down to the lowest unit, which is the n equals 1 individual. So subgrouping just continues until that point. So what was the purpose of going through that? When actually we could have explored the dispositions right at the start with the individual and sort of build this story back up. Of course, we still need to know stuff about the world, and science allows us to do that. We know that we will need to know that piece of knowledge that exercise could have a tendency to improve somebody's health, but that tendency is only a tendency, and it needs to be manifested by the joining of other tendencies.
I think we're people. Okay, Sorry.
Noisy.
So why is this relevant for a therapist or maybe a doctor meeting someone? This way of thinking, which is feels different than looking at PubMed and what's the best thing to do for a fluid. Why? Because there's so many physios being interested in this project. Isn't it?
And I've thought about it because I think they see themselves in the story, and I think the project resonates with what they do on a daily basis. Now, another warning here: this isn't a license for. This is another criticism. Where if you're talking about things like this, can't you just make things up and do whatever you want and do, energy therapy and homeopathy? Because you could say
that was my way out. Oh, let's go. No, sorry. We've been standing here for 30 minutes and you're telling me this. Oh God! I got it all off. No, sorry. Okay. It's not a license to whatever you want to do.
It's not at all, and this is what we mean by scientifically validating. This is a philosophical underpinning of a scientific method, and that there will be control for things that could never be effective, because mechanisms is a really strong part of this theory of science.
And are you thinking like Newtonian mechanistic, thinking linear, or are you just to clarify for me.
So, what I mean by that is understanding, dispositions is all about these component parts of the person, if you like, that's another way. And understanding how they interact with each other is something important. So what I mean is mechanistic levels of evidence in science. So, at the conference, we've seen probably 50% research related to mechanisms. The stuff that Lauren was talking about, the stuff that Joel Bielowski was talking about, that's that level, and that is important in the causal story. And what we would say is, without that, the other stuff isn't so convincing. Whereas a pure epidemiologist would say, well, hold on a minute, now, as long as we can show this at a population, we don't really need to know the mechanism, we just need to know it works. It works as a causal term. Causation is something more than just these external discrete events. You have to understand the mechanism. So, it's a richer, deeper causal picture of health than what we have at the moment. We think.
Well, that's really fascinating. So should we maybe just move around there, just quickly? Or no,
I think it's the same.
Okay, but the thing is, we're going to have a talk now.
Yeah.
And in just a few moments.
Yeah.
And we're lucky to have you come to Fredrikstad. That's actually where I live. Svein Kristiansen. Well, that's what he tells me, that you're coming to visit us.
I'm coming to your hometown.
Fantastic.
I can't wait.
Me neither. So, could you maybe lay out, and we're also going to try to follow up to sell in why this exploring of different way of thinking within a different framework is relevant for physios, because we're inviting physios to this event. Could you just give a little plug on how you would kind of sell it into the relevance for the clinician? Your talk there or your ideas there?
I would say if you're a reflexive, clinical reasoning, honest, genuine clinician, which I hope would include most people. So if you exclude yourself from that group, then we'll worry about you. You would want to engage in this discussion about the very things that are influencing your practice, and those things are the scientific background that we've got informing what we do and what we don't do. And you might want to think about positioning the person that you're intending to improve their health with at the centre of that rational and reasoning framework. And this is what the whole causal thing is going towards.
Well, that's great. Thank you for your time. I'm really looking forward to that, your next talk.
Oh yeah. Good.
So,
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you.
I hope you found it interesting. I really did. I think we could go on.
Yeah, I'm sure we should.
So we'll just hold it on that, and I hope that it maybe spurs some new ideas, and we'll be back.